They're doing good. My daughter is preparing for some tests and exams and all that.
I remember having seen her last time.
Yeah. And there is a Satyanarayana puja in other friend's house.
Oh,
So
okay.
they're splitting each other. I can't.
Okay.
She's going. Can you move a little bit forward? People want to go that way.
Blocking the way. Forward. Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe cold.
Warm.
Okay, if necessary. I don't think it's needed anyway. Namaskar, namaskar, namaskar. Hey, this little attendee, where is your face mask?
The little attendee.
These are my books for
Oh, Vivekananda, Vivekananda. Oh, very good. तो आपका नाम शीला मिश्र. बहुत अच्छे. वाह. तो पहले एक पुस्तक पर पहले अनिल मिश्र है, दूसरे पुस्तक पर पहले शीला मिश्र है.
जी, दोनों हस्बैंड वाइफ है. किसी ने टोक दिया कि वाइफ का नाम पहले होना चाहिए, तो फिर नेक्स्ट टाइम पहले वाइफ का नाम आ गया.
हाँ, ऐसी
सीधा राम
बात है.
होना चाहिए, गौरी
राम
शंकर
सीता.
होना चाहिए.
हाँ,
तो
हाँ.
नेक्स्ट टाइम ही करेक्टेड द मिस्टेक.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक है ठीक है. हाँ, बहुत अच्छे. हाँ, गलती दुरुस्त कर ली तो ठीक है. देर से आए दुरुस्त आए. हाँ?
इसके पहले स्वामी जी आए थे, हम लोग देवाशीष जी के साथ आए थे.
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा.
And Gaurav and Devashish and me.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I know Devashish. He has been coming always. Yeah, but I didn't see Gaurav. Huh?
God just came here walking.
Walking.
So yeah, with three other boys, three new friends. Yeah, Sunday satsang, so we came to know him. And then I got him come back to the village.
Yes, Devashish has been coming forever, I think. So, since there is no other singing group today, let us begin singing the hymn that I am going to speak about. And it is a well-known hymn. You sing it quite often, I am sure. So let us, let me do this. So let us begin chanting it.
Oh, no, she can sing. She is very good.
Yeah, but she is not of that. She will sing the ending song.
Ending song.
This is a joint singing. This is a song that gets sung every day in most of our centers, almost all, and in India every. And that is Om Hrim Ritam Tvamachalo Gunajit Gunedya Naktam Divam Sakarunam Tava Pada padam maranurminasha tasmat tvameva sharanam mama dinabandhu krityam karoti kalusham kuhakantakari shnantam shivam suvimalam tava namanatha yasmadaham vasharano jagadekamya tasmat tvameva sharanam mama dinabandhu. Then we sing that other part which exactly is not part of this hymn, but it is sung. It was differently composed by Vivekananda. Om sthapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharma swarupine avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. Om Namah Shri Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya Namo Namaha. Om Namah Shri Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya Namo Namaha. Om Namah Shri Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya Namo Namaha.
Ask him to put mask on.
Put your mask.
So, dear friends, yesterday we discussed a very sublime, nice hymn on Shiva by Vivekananda.
It's not on, I think.
It is on.
It is on.
It's on.
It's on.
But it is on.
Maybe I have to put it closer to mouth.
Oh.
Huh? Yeah. Huh? What do you say? It's on, isn't it? Okay. So, today we are going to discuss another hymn by Swamiji. It is recited, as I observed earlier, every day. And let us think about, Swami Vivekananda, the foremost disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, and who was considered as inseparable from Sri Ramakrishna. He is identical as Sri Ramakrishna. There are incidents to show in Leela Prasanga or the Sri Ramakrishna and his divine playbook. You find many incidents of Sri Ramakrishna's life where he expresses that oneness with Narendra, that he is the instrument through which Sri Ramakrishna was going to manifest. So, just as Sri Ramakrishna's body was used to to generate this great message. So, Swami Vivekananda's body was to propagate this. So, it is like one nice hymn on Vivekananda by Harshananji says that Saturyam Dvanchabho Mahochair Ghoshakaha. Sri Ramakrishna was like a big trumpet, and you were the blower of that trumpet. So, we understand that Sri Ramakrishna as the source of power. This is the generation of power is happening in Sri Ramakrishna. But we need to have, so many appliances for using that power. Suppose there is a lot of power generation, but none of the electric appliances, no lights, no computers, no heating, these things, heating plates or microwaves where electricity gets used. Without those appliances, what is the use of electricity? So, there has to be appliances by which all this electric power gets distributed. So that distribution of this electric power is Vivekananda. Vivekananda are these instruments through which we receive Sri Ramakrishna's this spiritual power. So this is how you can see the oneness between them. And also we know, just I was thinking about you and then you appear.
Thank you very
Very good.
much.
Very good. So, also everybody amongst the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna acknowledged that nobody understood Sri Ramakrishna as much as Vivekananda did. And Sri Ramakrishna certified that by writing there on the wall there, that Naren Shikhe Dibe, that Narendranath will teach. It is because he was the incarnation of this age. Only by saying, people don't believe only the spoken words. You have to have it in writing. So Sri Ramakrishna gave it in writing, that there should be no dispute about it. So, he is the teacher, Narendranath. And then that Narendranath, full of the spirit of Sri Ramakrishna, exactly like each of these appliances you see are full of electricity, therefore they are shining, therefore they are functioning. So it is Sri Ramakrishna is full of that Sri Ramakrishna. Narendranath or Vivekananda is full of that spirit, Sri Ramakrishna. And he is giving this hymn. It was composed in there while in Belur Math. The Belur Math was just in the building stage, and you can read about it in that excellent book of reminiscences by Sharat Chandra Chakravarti, Swami Shishya Samvad in Bengali, and the other that in English it is the what is it? I am forgetting the English name of that book. It's a big book that it is all the discussions were going on, and here Sri Ramakrishna's this hymn was spontaneously composed by Vivekananda.
This is volume 4 of Swami Vivekananda.
Yeah, good. So it was spontaneously composed, and then disciple, Sharat Chandra Chakravarti. So, and told him, because Sharat Chandra was a great scholar of Sanskrit, so he said, now you can correct some grammatical mistakes and then, so then we can publish it. So Sharat Chandra said, what is there to correct? It is your composition. Even if there are some minor grammatical errors there, and we will take them as the mistakes of the rishis and arshad. They are coins in Upanishads and all. You find certain things which are not exactly according to the Paninian grammar, but they are kept as they are, calling them that they are this statements of this rishis, the seers. We cannot meddle with them. So Sharat Chandra said that we will keep that like that. And many places, including Belur Math, these days, what originally was composed by Vivekananda, that gets sung. But Vivekananda said, no, you may think like that, why others will think? So make it corrected, get it correct. And so what is printed in books is what is the corrected version, grammatically correct version. So it is that hymn which is recited all over, and it brings out the essence of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna as a person is one thing, Sri Ramakrishna as the principle, as God, God incarnate. I remember again here that incident that I tell many times because it was a real incident. It just has stuck in my memory, and very revealing incident, that one little girl, maybe of that size, that age, she came with her grandmother, and they were regular visitors at Providence, and said to me, my granddaughter wants to ask you a question. And then I said, okay, let me see. The children's questions are not easy to answer, most difficult questions. So it is, I said, let me see what she has to ask. And then that little girl took me by hand, and we went to the shrine room, the chapel at that time. At that time, it was much before we built a bigger chapel where there are now very nice cushioned seats. But at that time there were only wooden chairs with some cushions kept on them. So she took me there and showed at the picture of Sri Ramakrishna and asked this question, is he a god or is he a man? What a nice question, isn't it? Is he a god or is he a man? Means there is this clear-cut distinction that she had, that something can be either god or man. Then now how to answer this little girl, you can't tell philosophies to that at that age. So Sri Ramakrishna kind of guided me, and I asked that girl, this chair, these chairs, is it a chair or is it wood? Is it chair or is it wood? And then that girl, intelligent girl, said, hey, yes, both of them. They are both. It is wood and it is also chair. So chair is the shape. The substance is wood. Its woodness has not gone anywhere by giving a shape of a chair. Do you get it? This is what divine God in human form. Form is human. The substance is God. God in this shape of a human being. That is what Sri Ramakrishna is both. That is the called Avatara Tattva, incarnation, human incarnation of the divine. So the divine does not change, intact, like the wood remained wood and looks as a chair. So that is where you see this great principle, Sri Ramakrishna, as the God in flesh and blood. This idea of God incarnating as human beings is very much discussed in Bhagavad Gita, although it is not easily seen in Upanishads. Upanishads, you have the hints of it, but Bhagavad Gita is all elaboration of God as human being. The God as human being, Krishna, is giving that Bhagavad Gita, and there is this big principle elaborated in so many verses, in so many chapters. So it is, in other religions also you have this principle, but not so well expressed and not even accepted so well. It is, if you see, for example, the Bible, the regular Christian Bible, the fifth, that Gospel of John, and that clearly brings out this idea. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God. The Word was God. From that, everything that was made. That Word became flesh. That Word's becoming flesh is this God incarnating as in flesh and blood. So, although they don't have a very elaborate philosophy of this, but the seed principle is there. Even in Islam you find that this Prophet Muhammad is, they don't call incarnation, but is the messenger. The God expresses himself through this body. So there is the physical aspect of it and there is the divine aspect of it. So both these have been brought out so beautifully by Vivekananda in this, the great hymn. This hymn is a subject of my meditation for last many decades, and I love meditating on this verse, this hymn. So, the first word is Om. By the way, this is, if you take the first letter of each of the lines, it becomes Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. So, the first word is Om, and Om is the name of Brahman, the all-pervading, impersonal, beyond all names and forms, beyond time and space, that existence, consciousness, bliss, Sat Chit Ananda. In Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita you find that that is called Om. Om iti etad Aksharamidam, like Mandukya Upanishad begins with that it is from Om, everything has come as it were. Om is the repository of everything, and that will be a different lecture to discuss how it is so, because all that we see here, whatever we experience, we know the reality of it because we give it a name. A name makes the thing real. There is no substance as such there. For example, you can see that when you give a name, we have, for example, in our area, that well-known baseball team, Red Sox, in Boston Red Sox. So people are so fanatically attached that it is our team, our Red Sox, our this thing, my this thing. Now what is that Red Sox? Tell me. The players keep on changing. The players are not same. Whosoever gives them more money, more benefits, they don't have attachment with the club. Okay, bye bye. I will go to another club. It is the fans have attachment. Players keep on moving. The coaches also keep on moving. The place also keeps on moving. It is the owners, they keep on changing. And now, what is Red Sox? Tell me, what is it? Just a name. Just a name. There is no substance to it. Same with everything. What is Yogatmananda? The body keeps on changing all the time. A few minutes ago, I drank a little water. That water was out. Now it is in. It is all the particles are changing. It is said. I am not an authority on that. That in 7 years, almost all particles are completely replaced by the new ones. Whatever was there 7 years ago, and now none of those particles have remained. So, what is Yogatmananda? Tell me. Just a name that is given. That is what it is. Everything is in this world is just a name. There is no fixed substance to any of those things. So everything is name. Do you agree with this? Do you get this point? Very good, Nachiketa. Yeah. See, this point is very important to come face to face with our reality, the experience. We get attached to this form and consider that it is as such real. But it is changing, changing all the time. Now think of, our friend Ushaji. Ushaji, now suppose she has a photograph of her when she was 2 years old. Would she look like this? Can she put that photograph on her driving license? No, everything has changed, but the name sticks. And yes, somebody would say that I know, I met you 25, 30 years ago, but you looked different then. Yes, of course, and the looks change, it becomes different. So, it's like that I met some 3 years ago, more than that I think, yeah. One of my middle school friends, we studied together in the grade 6 and 7. Then in last 52 years after that we never met. So I learned he is in Alaska, so I went, when I had gone to Alaska, I had informed him. So he is a professor there in Fairbanks. So, and wow, what a reunion. Now, what was left of the 52 years? Just name. The appearance was so different. It is because my pictures are on website and all that, so he knew how I look, So I also found out from the university how this professor looks. So, yeah. But then in the photograph there you don't get the height of the person and all that, So at that time we were all in a very young age, growing, so there was no exact measure of height, how tall the person is going to be. So, so when we saw each other, only the name was there, and so the old memories were brought out, and he was a very good host. He and his wife, they treated me very well, took me to so many places. So anyway, but it is just name. This whole world is just run by name. Let us remember this. The name is the only thing that makes a changing thing real. It gets its thatness because of the name only. Like they say that I have been putting on the same flip-flop for 20 years. Every year changes the sole, the bottom, and the flaps next year. So now what is the same about that flip-flap? Nothing, it is all so many times changed, but same, the same flip-flap. So same one I am using, what is the sameness there? Just that one, that name. Apart from that, there is nothing same. All very different, continuously shifting and changing. So, name is that which gives its reality. That is also the reason that why in spiritual life the practice of the name is so important. Mantra or name of God. And it is in fact, Tulsidas has kept the name even superior to the that thing. He says that look, the person and the name, whom do you give? Both are great. God and God's name, both are great. But then I give higher place to name. Why? Because if you know the name, by name you can pull that person. That it is, if I know somebody's name and I call, hey Abhay, so the Abhay looks okay. By the name you can get that person. But if without name, and now I don't remember names of many people that I have met. Now I can blame it on my old age, but then my memory about names was never that good. Anyway, so because by form you don't get the name, but by name you get the form. So therefore name is superior. And what is name? It is just sound. Sound. So Om is the sound of all sounds. All sounds are contained in Om. And therefore, I can go on with this, but we have to, get the outline of the whole hymn. So, Om is Brahman. All everything is not, just sound, and all sounds are in Om. So everything, this whole universe is in Om. Om is thus a name of God or Brahman. Then Ring. That is a very special thing about this Brahman, which transcends all logic or explanation. And that is, it is one without second. Brahman is one without second. Then, how it manifests as many, innumerable many. How the one becomes many, there is no answer to that logically speaking. It is discussed in Swami Vivekananda's one chapter in the book Jnana Yoga. It is titled that absolute and manifestation. It shows that how it is impossible to give any explanation to it. It is, we call it, we again give a name, Maya, but it is again a name. So, there is this mysterious, inexplicable power because of which this one appears as many. That is why you can never tell that whether a thing is one or many. I had told you a joke before that I read it in my primary school days, but it has again stuck with me because it explains these things very well. That in primary school they teach that singular number, plural number and all that. So the teacher wanted to test that whether students have understood or not. So she asked the question, okay, tell me pant. Pant, is it singular or plural? And a child told, a student said, on the upper side it is singular, on the lower side it is plural. But how true it is. It is not just about pant, everything. It is, there is no question like one or many. Everything is one and many. One and many. Like if you look at a person, you say one person. If you look at the, limbs, they are many. If you look at the how many fundamental particles like electron, protons are there, that will be practically innumerable. So, the person is one or many, the way you want to look at. The same thing is one by the name ocean. If you look at the waves, that very thing is infinitely many. So that is why that is Reem. This phenomena, this power is indicated by this symbolic expression, Om Reem. There is no logical relationship between this. How one becomes many, please don't ask. There is no logic in that. It is, we take big pride in our logical faculty, and it is important. I don't deny it is better to be logical than illogical. But that doesn't mean that everything can be explained logically. Logic has its ingrained limitations, that its domain is very limited. I don't want to go into the technicalities, but the logic works in a very small field. So most of our experiences, they are impossible to be related logically, explained logically. That's not possible. It is, in fact, there is a very celebrated psychologist in MIT. His name is Steven Pinker. People who study psychology or even logic should read that book. That it is, he shows there that while our thinking is logical, our behavior is illogical. Our behavior is not logical at all. It goes against the logic. It is, for example, he said, look, if how you place the statement, and he gave statistics, that suppose it is told that this particular medicine has benefited 75% of those who took it. People go and take it. The same statement is made like 25% had no benefit of this medicine. People don't go to buy it. Is it logical behavior? It is some. The two statements are logically identical, but still, psychology is very different. Our behavior is very different than logic. That is why they tell you the price are $23.99. So you think it is 23, it is 24, but somehow you get misled to think that is how the psychology works. So psychology works, people keep their clocks 5 minutes ahead of time. Why? It is illogical, but our behavior is illogical. Our thinking is logical. And this is ream. Ream. You can never explain this. Om, ream is this power. That cannot be quantified or even qualified. It is just the fact. Therefore, Swami Vivekananda mentions again and again this word Maya is not a theory. It is not an explanation. It is just a statement of fact. That is Reem. Om, Reem. Now we step into the field of multiplicity, Ritam. Now there are laws. In this Ritam means the relative truth. Relative truths are like that, there are contexts to them, there is connection between them, and so forth. That like at one doctor's office, I wanted to get an appointment, so I had called, and then that clerk there, she asked, "What's your date of birth?" And I said, January so and so it is. So she said, "What year?" I said, "Oh, well, every year it is the same." Now, yes, but in the context, I should have answered, given the year also. It is, she was fumbling and no, what I mean, the year that you were actually born. Now can I say there in that context, no, I am beyond birth? That is not the answer expected there. It is, so that is Ritam, relative truth, where there are logical connections. There is the law of karma. You do something and then you have to pay for the consequences. You get the results of what you do. The effect, cause and effect relationship is in this Ritam. And Sri Ramakrishna is exemplifier of that. He is Om, Brahman, absolute, and the power with which it manifests as many. And he is also the Ritam, that the laws. There is the field of laws now. Now in the field of laws, Sri Ramakrishna has exemplified it in many of his talks in Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, that how it is all Brahman. He said, well, Pancha Bhuter Khande, Brahma Pore Khande. That it is in the when it manifests as many, now the rules become applicable. Now the law of karma becomes applicable. You cannot escape that. There is, you do and there will be the consequences. Yeah, your actions, you will have to take the effect of that. It is so, that is rhythm. So look at Sri Ramakrishna's actions, Sri Ramakrishna's life, pure life. There is no such thing that it is, oh, I am Brahman, what does it matter? No, it is his actions, his discipline. One wonders, the man who is just at a, without a moment's notice goes in samadhi, is not even aware of the clothes just slip off. That person is so meticulous about the word given to somebody. He has to follow that. The way he would keep, Swami Sardananda describes at great length that everything in his room had a proper particular place, and the room would be all looking very well organized. So many things in his room, but would be so well organized that it would be a lesson, that in relative life how you should be, how he would speak to different people with complete awareness of what relation they have with Sri Ramakrishna, with himself. So he would speak with Narendranath in one way, with Latu in another way, with Holy Mother in a very different way, with Girish Chandra Ghosh in another different. See how he has these very well marked ways, and this is rhythm. This is the truth of relative level, that what is right for Girish Chandra Ghosh is not right for somebody else. Somebody saw Sri Ramakrishna loves Girish so much, although he used to throw very bad words at Sri Ramakrishna. So he thought, well, I will get more love from Sri Ramakrishna if I started using all these bad words. Sri Ramakrishna became very displeased, said, that's not for you. That's not for you. That is one person, it is. He has a personality. Everybody in this relative world have their specific personality. So you cannot, and so that applies to that person. So this relative truth, Om, Reem, Ritam, it is now these internal connections. Now it is field of science. Science can deal up to this relative truth, that too, where the five senses become functionally applicable. So that is the limitation of science. So that is, the science cannot tell that what happens to you, although it is relative. That is how your karma gives you this birth. That is because it is not observable by the five sensory organs. So that is thus not a subject for physical science. But it is relative. So it is called, sometimes a nice name is given to that, alaukik pratyaksha. Pratyaksha and direct. But other perception, they are direct, but in the other world. So that world which is not perceivable by these sense organs. So Om, Reem, Ritam, Tomachalo, that you do not move at all, you do not change at all in your essential nature. in spite of all this relative phenomena happening, that does not change you. Your essential nature remains intact. Gunajit gunedhyah, that you have conquered all these sattva, rajas, tamas, these gunas, whatever manifestations of different qualities that are seen, you have conquered all of them. They don't affect you. But those qualities, guned you, because you have them, they get the glorification. They are glorified by your putting them on. That is, sometimes that the young ladies are kind of flattered by saying that this ornament becomes so beautiful, it looks so beautiful because you are putting it on, you see. So it is not that those ornaments are beautifying you, but those ornaments, that is the saying also. Oh, how this dress looks good on you, means you are the one who are imparting beauty to it. So it is like that, that all these gunas, they acquire their glory because Sri Ramakrishna has been having those gunedyo, all these great virtues that Sri Ramakrishna expressed in his life, that it is unselfishness, service, compassion, truthfulness, the control of senses. It is the control of senses is a very important thing to learn, for properly guiding one's life. The senses are our instruments, isn't it? What? Do you agree? Senses are our instruments. And in whose control should be the instrument if you want to get work out of it? It should be in our control, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, suppose you want to drive the car and you don't know how to control it. What will happen? Nobody, should do that. It is when it goes out of control for some reason, you see the crash. The day before I came here, there was a lot of snow and ice on the roads. So in about 10 hours, there were 48 crashes and 42 spins on the roads. Yeah, horrible condition, because you could not control the vehicle. So these senses, they are our instruments. Our mind and our senses, they go out of control many times. A lot of cause of the accidents in life and this consequent suffering is because we didn't have control on our mind and senses. Sri Ramakrishna, see this, what great control. And for the practice of Vedanta, it is, we have this Vedanta society. So practice of Vedanta is done here, and that practice, some of the principles of that practice is Shama Dhamma, means control of the body and control of the mind. So that is seen in Sri Ramakrishna to great perfection. So it is. And now what is right for me? To worship you. You are so compassionate. By worshipping you, by adoring you, all that I will get all this. But I don't do it. That it is natam divam sakarunam tava pada padmam. Oh, those your feet which are sakarunam, full of compassion. That such feet, but what happens? These feet are capable of cutting all the delusion. Moham kasham, Moham kasham means that which can destroy the delusion. Moham kasham, bahukritam, all that large assemblage of delusion, all that your compassionate holy feet can cut. But I don't remember that all the time. Nattam divam means day and night. Moham kasham bahukritam na bhaje yatoham. I don't do that worship. So you are my sole refuge. I take refuge in you. Like suppose, this child wants to do something. Suppose he wants to climb up on the stairs, but being a little child, he may try, but can't because the hands don't reach that far, and so will find it difficult to climb. But somebody else, somebody else will see. It is, and then will pick up, and then make him go on these stairs, It is, he sees what is this injustice, that is something was right there, and why, yes, he doesn't understand, his logic is different, that shows the relativity of logic, that it is right there, and why am I being denied this simple thing? So it is, you can see this, that now if he wants to climb up, and his intentions he shows, his urging he shows, so somebody picks and takes him. So we are praying to Thakur, we are such babies, please take us in your arms, I take refuge in you. Tasmat tvameva sharanam. You alone are our refuge. That you alone is very important, because God alone can help us. There is human beings, others, they are in our same, we are in the same level, how can we be helped in this respect by other human beings? In some relative matters we may get help. Hey, I need $10, can you loan me? Okay, sure, come on. But it is, for these things only God can help us. That to lift us in our spiritual journey. So God, so tasmat tvameva sharanam. One beggar is not capable of donating some other beggar, you see. So we are in the spiritual world, how much do we know? We can, you may say you are Swami for a long time. A beggar in the form of Swami. Swami is of course a beggar in the worldly sense also, that it is, Swami has to bake the food, isn't it? So it is the beggar. But in spiritual respect we are all such beggars. So we can't really help other person, but it is God who alone is to be taken refuge with. So then another problem with us is discussed in the next verse, that bhaktir bhagascha bhajanam bhavabhedakari. Yes, this whole delusion and the whole creation that has come out of this delusion, I know will vanish by praying to you, by doing bhakti to you. That's by having your holy name and devoting myself to you completely. This will go away, I know that. Gacchantyalam suvipulam. It will be more than enough. Alam means enough. Suvipulam means more than enough. It is there. If I pray and take refuge in you, that will be great. Nothing more is needed. But the problem with us is we give lot of lectures, Vaktru piridaye name bhati kinchet. Although I talk about it a lot, it does not shine in my heart. That is the problem. That Vaktru keep on talking about it. How much does it come to my life, to my consciousness? Vidhi me nacha bhati kinchit. It does not have even a spark in my heart. Now this is, although Vivekananda is saying it, it is Vivekananda knows everything. He has practiced it, but he is telling it for our sake. So then, therefore the effort should be in sadhana to feel it, and to have what Sri Ramakrishna said, bhava. Let us have that feeling about missing the God. So if we have real feeling, then we get the tears. Whatever we have real feeling for, we get tears. Sri Ramakrishna asks, who cries for God, who weeps for not having God? If money is lost, or if some relation, somebody close member of family passes away, there is no dearth of tears. People shed bucket full of tears. But how many are weeping for not having seen God? So there should be that yearning. The direction should be to feel that yearning. That is how it is mentioned, Ridime nacha bhati kinchet. Let it shine actually in our heart. Let it make not just a thought, but a feeling. Thought has very little power. Our behavior is very little governed by thought. It is mostly governed by feelings. So therefore, let those feelings be intensified. Then he says, look, all our cravings, the life is full of cravings. Buddha calls it tanha, thirst. Like when the throat is parched and very thirsty, you feel just a little water I want. No, I have enough. No, don't. Yeah, it is. But you feel thirsty. So in the world we are all thirsty. We are looking for satisfaction in life. We have so many drags. It is all such craving. I want this and this and this and this. Unending. With experience, one sees that what a terrible state it is. That we have the craving, and yet there is no satisfaction available. We keep on doing the same thing, more by habit. We know that there is no satisfaction. And we feel, oh, it is so boring. It is, oh, let us go to travel somewhere. We would go to Hawaii. And what? Now after making 3-4 such trips here and there, what happens? You know that there is nothing much to enjoy. Everything is very similar. It is, even if you go to moon, what? Well, similar thing to see. It is only, it is deeper and bigger Grand Canyon. So it is nothing much there to see. You come back, and yet now you are going, the habit gets formed. So you now have to go and do the same thing over and over again, even though you know you are not going to get any joy out of it. Now you became a slave. That is the real, bondage. That something you are dragged to, although you know that there is no pleasure in it, but some drag kind of pulls you, and you meet frustration, frustration, frustration. What can we expect other than that, friends, if we are going to the appearance rather than the truth? If you suppose our Shatakshi stands in front of the mirror, do you stand in front of the mirror sometimes? Yes, of course. Yeah. And then if you see your hair needs some doing, so if you pick up a comb to do your hair, can you do yourself, or your mom has to help you out? You can do it. Good, good, good. So it is, yeah. Then you create a mess, then mom has to come and correct it. Okay.
Sometimes.
Anyway, so no, you are very intelligent. Okay. So if you see, hey, Shatakshi is seen in the mirror, you take the comb or brush, you take the comb and then start doing it on the mirror. Because in the mirror you are seeing Shatakshi, isn't it? So if you see, oh, let me put the comb there on the mirror, will it do anything? Nothing. So after some time, when you will get frustrated, throw the comb. No, it is so frustrating. The hair all, in disarray, looking terrible. They will be, you will be watching them in the mirror. Again you think, now let me give it a good try. You will never be able to do it. And then how your hair will get straightened? If you put the comb on your head, then the hair here will get straight, corrected, and then in mirror also it will get all right. So this is a lesson that we have to learn. We run towards all different things for happiness. Oh, we keep on begging happiness. Oh, Rasgulla, give me some happiness. As if Rasgulla has happiness. It is, oh man, give me some happiness. Oh woman, give me some happiness. Oh little child, give me some happiness. But there is no such thing there. It is thus only frustration builds up, that you think, okay, you try so much to make the world nice for you. There is nothing, it is only a reflection. So, therefore everybody's world is so different. Like when she stands in front of the mirror, mirror shows one reflection. If her brother goes and stands, then there will be a different reflection. So, that everybody's world is like that. It is reflection. And it is not real at all. This is whether we like it or don't like it. And the truth doesn't depend on whether we like it or we don't like it. So, but there is the source of happiness. That is actually to turn to the reality. Like when Shatakshi put the comb to her hair, and then it worked. To put it on the reflection doesn't work. So that is why you hold the reality, and then all your thirst will be satisfied. तेजस्तरन्ति तरसा त्वयि तृप्ततृष्णः. That instead of running to the reflections or appearances, if you change the direction, you will see that turn the attention to Sri Ramakrishna, turn the attention to God, the truth, the reality, and well, all your thirst in life will be satisfied. All that you were looking for will be available to you just by that action. Turn and you are there. It is because that is within us. We go out to get it, how can we get it? It is the stupidity that we go out to get that. It is impossibility. So therefore we have to change this direction to see the divine, get connected with God, and then we get the reality, the truth. So this is how Tejas taranti tarasa tvai tripta trishnaha. Tvai means in you, all the thirst will get completely fulfilled. And can you ever get your thirst removed by looking at the reflections of water? No, there is that mirage where there is, you see water, but it is not there. So, it is even if somebody brings you a bucket full of water of mirage, and that will not remove the thirst, but a little glass of water will do it. So that is Sri Ramakrishna, remover of this thirst of the thirsties. So approach that and the life will attain fulfillment. Then Martyamritam Tava Padam, thus you become immortal. You attain to that immortality that is your nature. But since you were running outside, you were mortal. And now, when you turn towards your true nature, that is Sri Ramakrishna. Vivekananda never loses this thread. Sri Ramakrishna as principle, Sri Ramakrishna as person. Both. So, it is here you find that Sri Ramakrishna, the fulfiller of all desires. All desires meet fulfillment only there. So, and you become immortal. Martyamritam tava padam maranor nasha. Even the vibration of death will vanish from there. So, that is Sri Ramakrishna. Tasmat tvameva sharanam. Then the last stanza of this beautiful hymn, very profound hymn, is Krityam karoti kalusham kuhakantakari. All your actions were for removing this. Kuhaka means darkness. This foggy darkness, this confusing situation, this by looking at your ways, your life, your actions, we will see that this darkness is removed. Your name is Shnantam, Shivam, Suvimalam. Means it ends in Shna, Ramakrishna. So it is ending in Shna, then Shivam. It is the most auspicious thing. Yesterday we were saying Shiva means auspicious. Shnantam Shivam, Suvimalam, purity itself. And that is the should take refuge. We don't have any other refuge. Yasmadaham tu asharano. Tvasharana means there is the sandhi there. Tu asharana. So I have no other refuge except you. So Jagadeka Gamyaha, the goal of all human beings, that is Jagadeka Gamyaha. You are the goal of all human beings. So that is the description of God. For example, Narayana. Narayana means the goal of human beings. Narayana ayanam iti Narayanam. So Narayana is the goal of human beings. God is the only goal of human beings. Remember this statement of Sri Ramakrishna. There is no other goal. Absolutely no other goal. It is statement of Sri Ramakrishna, not some XYZ. That God realization is the only goal of human beings. So let us take it seriously and direct all our energies, all our faculties to attain to that. Jagadeka Gamyaha Tasmat Tvameva Sharanam Mama Dina Bandho. So this is how Sri Ramakrishna's this great hymn is a subject for our meditation. As I told in the beginning, every single word in this is so much full of meaning to be meditated on. And Sri Ramakrishna, the form and the substance, the principle and the person, both need to be properly appreciated and held on to. It is, somebody asked me, what is there in the form? I want to worship formless. Are we at the level of worshipping formless? It is when you do not think of yourself as form, when you do not perceive yourself as body, then alone you are capable of worshipping God as formless. Otherwise it is just mere sound, meaningless. So, therefore we have to take Sri Ramakrishna as the form as well as the principle, both. Somebody said, well, water is formless. Yeah, okay, but it has a form. You cannot drink the formless water. You hold it in something, you go to a faucet to get water. Everybody knows that the faucet is not water, but you have to go to faucet or some source where that water is. So, similarly there is this Sri Ramakrishna as human being is the source for it, the Brahman, the God, which is the destination, the goal of all of us. So many thanks, friends, for giving me this opportunity to meditate in company of you all on this great hymn. Thank you for inviting me to this beautiful growing center of yours. And I hope and pray. Yesterday I was being told that there is a thought that shall be moved to a bigger place, because as you see, there are some people are standing, they have no room to sit. It is so, if more people are coming, and I see more and more newcomers, they have come. I am visiting after about 4 years, 3 years. So it is, 3 years. Yeah, it feels like many.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad you came.
So it
Yeah,
is, yeah. So hope your efforts in that direction, God makes them fulfilled. It is always dependent on God. If Sri Ramakrishna wants, he will get it done. And if he doesn't want, it will not get done. Don't worry, it is his wish. By his wish, things will happen. So let us pray that may his life shine forth in our life. May his presence keep on blessing us. May the blessings of Thakur Ma Swamiji be with all of us. If you have any question, I am well.
In a way, Swamiji, yesterday's lecture on Shiva, that also in a sense, Shiva is all, everything. So this is, God is all, and Sri Ramakrishna is all, Shiva is all.
Where is the difference? Huh?
Yeah.
See, Shiva is a symbol. Sri Ramakrishna is incarnation. Incarnation is like a human being. Shiva is not like a human being. It is, we make an image, but just to show that it is not human being. We show Ganges flowing in his locks. Can any human being make that Ganges on? Or have you seen anybody wearing the Garland of Snakes? No, that is, it is a symbolic of this thing. There is no date of birth for Shiva. There is, because he was never born. It is an unborn thing. It is symbol.
So how?
Incarnation of God is born, is like a human being, lives like a human being. Shiva doesn't live like a human being.
But Swamiji, then how does the concept come? The Shiva or all these?
Yes,
how
yes.
did it originate?
Yes, all these concepts, they are the ideas that we have about divine, about God, and they get concretized. There is a nice chapter in Swami Vivekananda's Bhakti Yoga about symbols. Images and symbols. Very nice chapter. That these images or symbols, they are outcome of our deep feeling towards God. Then they are presented. Now there are anthropomorphic limitations for us. We can imagine, like Swami Vivekananda says, if a cow has to imagine God, it will be a big cow. So we bring therefore the human being. And then, but to remind that it is not limited by human being, we give some additional things. Like Shiva, it is described with 5 faces. Panchamukhi Shiva. So Shiva has 5 faces. A human being, if you see somebody with 5 faces, we have, yes, it is not possible. So there is these are the symbolic expressions of our feelings towards God. Like God as mother, and we see that just as mother feeds and protects, and God is the providence, that idea of providence. I come from the city of Providence, but what it means is, the provider, that God, then that becomes the mother God, motherhood of God, that it is the God who takes the form of Shakti, mother. So there are therefore the female forms. But there also you will see that Mother Durga will have 10 hands or 8 hands. Again you will see everywhere there is no birth of them, Ah, there is no date of birth and date of death. They are neither born nor dead. So, therefore, in Tulsidas, that Ramayana, he describes it very nicely that there is the uh, wedding ceremony of Shiva and Parvati going on. So, now like human beings, Shiva and Parvati also worshipped Ganesha to begin the ceremony. Now, Tulsidas expects the question there that Ganesha is their child, how could they worship Ganesha? And he says, remember all these gods, they have no birth. Sabahi ajanma. So they are all, so therefore these things are possible, that otherwise this question would come, how could they worship Ganesha? So somebody explains, that is the Ganesha from the previous age, previous kalpa. And so whatever, but that is how it is, they are the symbolic expressions. There is the anthropomorphic aspect to it, but incarnation is a human being. God assumes human form to teach humanity, as if born, as if he lives like us, as if dies. All that happens with incarnation, and therefore incarnations are the actual teachers of mankind, because we learn from human beings, and that is why in our schools, who gets the position of teachers? A dog is not allowed to apply for the, say, head of the school, for the teacher of the position. Only human beings are there. So to teach us spirituality also, a human being, God also has to take the form of human being. So human beings will be able to learn. So that is the great principle of incarnation of God. Ajopisan avyayatma. What great verses are in Bhagavad Gita. Ajopisan, I am no unborn and there is no change in me. Bhutanam ishwaropisan. Prakritim swam adhishthaya sambhavami atmamayaya. That it is, although there is no birth to me, and I am eternal, no change in me, still, by taking recourse to my own power of Maya, I come to illumine human beings. That is the work. It is, that is how the great teachership is. Again and again, therefore, avatara comes. Because the things change. That is also very well explained in Bhagavad Gita in the beginning of the 4th chapter. So, that is the explanation of your question.
Yeah, so if you really take Christ, Muhammad, Buddha, Ramakrishna and all these, they all that we are talking about really abstract or like really like a concept, but how did it originate? How did people keep writing all these Shiva?
Oh yes, these concepts. Ramakrishna is both. Therefore I was again and again emphasizing this. You have to see his human life. That you do not get with Shiva,
Right.
or that is, and therefore they are very useful. Those symbols are great, but we cannot learn much from them as we can learn from the incarnation of God.
Sure.
If you see the impact of it, if you remove the incarnations of God, what is left of religions? Almost nothing. Remove Rama, remove Krishna, remove Buddha, remove Shankaracharya, remove Jesus. Remove Moses, what is left? Remove Muhammad, what is left of the religions? Because these Swami Vivekananda mentions that they they show more divine manifestation than our wildest imagination can think of. There you see the tremendous manifestation of the divine actually, rather than what you may imagine. Yeah. Yes, Ushaji?
I like very much what you said yesterday. She was wearing Bola Nath, he makes mess, and I thought she comes. So I think we need incarnations because there are too many messes.
Yeah, that Vishnu cannot do anything himself. He has to take a human form.
Some glad for
And
that.
again and again.
So is that the reason in Vedanta you say Brahman? Brahman is alone, there is nothing because it is he as well as she.
Yes, yes. Both, yeah. There is no gender. Gender is limited to body, take off the body and then you have no problem with gender. Yeah. Okay then.
I have one question.
Yes, please, Priya.
Yesterday in talk we talked about Shiva being present in all of us, right? And then the divinity in all of us, and there are different paths where we can attain the same divinity.
Yeah.
Yet Thakur tells Swamiji that he who was born as Krishna, he who was born as Ram is born as Ramakrishna, and not in the Vedantic sense.
Yes.
So how is one divinity superior to other divinities?
Okay. It is not in the sense of Vedanta, because in Vedanta, like Upanishads, the aspirants are of a very high quality. They are full of spirit of renunciation and all that. So they really don't need the help of incarnation of God. So they are not therefore described in Upanishads. But you see that in Bhagavad Gita they get described, because Bhagavad Gita is told to a person like us, Arjuna. That is why Bhagavad Gita becomes so close to us. It is, Arjuna is like us, attacked by Shoka, Moha, Nimaj, that the one who is just merged in Shoka and Moha, the grief coming out of delusion. So that is why that becomes very important. Shoka Moha Dadho Nimajjaya Arjunaya Upadishya. So this is told to Arjuna. So incarnation becomes necessary for ordinary human beings. In Upanishads, they don't discuss it, but that doesn't mean Upanishad doesn't tell about it. There are instances, for example, Kena Upanishad brings out the idea of incarnation of God at the end there, as the Yaksha appears there and all that, yeah. So, but generally they are not there, you are right, yeah.
We have one more question, I thought. Somebody?
Oh, you have a question, please?
That is a curiosity rather a question. We believe that we need a guru for any kind of spiritual progress.
Any kind of, even for ordinary education you need guru.
And for spiritual definitely we need a
Yeah,
guru.
yeah, no doubt.
But it is really very difficult to choose or to find out a guru. So what is the path to find a guru?
Oh, well, it is easy and difficult both, when we really are yearning for guru, then we will find, And to tell you one nice story, one incident, that one of our neighbors in Nagpur, our mutt, our Ramakrishna mutt, there is just opposite their house. So he was a Bengali man, and then I saw him one day, where had he been? I went to buy fish. Those days in Nagpur, fish was not at all readily available. It is nowadays due to cold storage, the transportation improvement, they get it. Those days it was very difficult. So I asked him, how do you get fish here? He told me, you see, Swamiji, we are Bengalis and we crave for fish. And so we know how to find it. A fish can live without water, but a Bengali cannot live without fish. He told me. So I look for it with yearning. And so I find where to get it. So similarly, if we have that desire to get Guru, we will find Guru also. Surely there is, you have so many people here who are initiated, have Guru, and you can ask them. It is Swami Sarvadevanandi gives initiation here. Yeah, it is, I don't give initiation here. People have to come to Providence. So it is, you can tell the presidents or whosoever are office bearers here that I would like to get initiated. Let me know when Sarvadevanandi is coming here. And your life will change as it will be very, you will be marching very confidently on the path when you get a Guru. Just as when you have GPS to drive with, then you feel confident, that okay, you just put your address and then you go drive as per the instructions are. So Guru is like spiritual GPS, Guru positioning system. Instead of this geographical positioning system, it is the Guru positioning system. That is, you will be so confident, you will go march on the path fearlessly. Yes, please.
Swamiji, if you have a desire to do something noble, do you think God and Sri Ramakrishna will send you the help?
Well, it depends on what you think as noble and whether Sri Ramakrishna thinks it as noble may be different, isn't it? Yeah. If it is noble in the sight of Sri Ramakrishna, he certainly will help you. Let your intentions be pure, unselfish. Then it is a noble work. And then Sri Ramakrishna will help us. Yeah. But something I feel as noble, but it may not be noble in the sight of Thakur. And so you will be frustrated in your intention of doing it. You may not get the help. Yeah. Yes, please.
Do you think, even if it's noble or not, if it aligns with your purpose of life, does that matter for you to?
Well, if that is, if it aligns with your ultimate goal of realizing God, and then certainly it is very noble something, and you will be helped by God in that. Yeah.
For the last couple of years, there's a lot of information about all three of them, but I feel like there is no recent documentary to pass their message, and I've been wanting to do that, and I know I cannot do it alone. A documentary of all three of them
Yes,
to pass their message.
There are some movies that have come up, and more are coming up. Yes, you will find some, help in that matter. You may get some opening. Who knows? It's all.
These movies, I saw the Bengali movies and with English subtitles.
Yeah.
And they are they're pretty old. To say
No,
it
there
in a
are some-
documentary form and in English and Sanskrit and Hindi, It's a good combination is what.
There are some quite, comparatively recent also. Within 3-4 years, some have come up.
Documentaries.
Yes. So, but there is still further scope to do it. Yeah.
Swami, the
वो
host.
गाना गाएगी तो?
No, the host is saying the food is already ready, it's all heated.
Yeah.
Then you have to bless it.
Yeah,
so
but
she can sing.
But she can sing.
yeah, she can sing. Yesterday she sang so well,
Yeah.
that Rag Bhupa,
Oh, yeah?
Bhupali,
No,
yeah,
we missed that.
Bhupali.
Today is different, Ram.
Yes.
She's saying that our host is saying if you
Yes.
can, if you can bless the food, then they can all come and sit, sing with him.
Okay.
That's what she has.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, and he's coming. Yeah. Just bless the food and then, they can all sit. Some people are leaving and they want to.